I was not important enough to be chosen. That is the only reason I'm alive. I wasn't a captain or a strategist or someone whose name carried weight. I held a spear because someone put it in my hands, and I followed orders because not following them meant dying sooner. When the sky broke open and the sun turned black, no one looked at me. No hand reached out. No voice called my name. I was trampled before I understood what was happening. The ground dropped out from under us, and men fell like loose teeth from a broken mouth. I remember screaming, not because I was afraid yet, but because everyone else was. The air smelled wrong, like iron left in rain too long, like blood that had already decided it wasn't staying inside a body. Something hit me from behind, and I went down hard. My spear flew out of my hands. Another body landed on top of me, then another. The weight knocked the breath out of me so completely that I thought my lungs had collapsed. I tried to shout, and only blood bubbled up my throat. By the time I could breathe again, the screaming had changed, not louder, closer. I couldn't move. There were bodies everywhere, twisted, broken, still twitching. One man's arm was draped across my face, his fingers stiffening against my cheek. His eyes were open, staring past me, as if he'd seen something worth dying for. That's when I saw the brand burning on his neck. I hadn't been branded yet. I don't know why. Maybe I was too insignificant. Maybe they hadn't noticed me under the pile. But the brand on his skin pulsed like a living thing, and when it did, something answered it in the dark. I heard breathing that didn't belong to any man, heavy, wet, patient. Instinct took over, not courage, fear, pure animal terror. I slid deeper beneath the bodies, dragging myself under ribs and limbs, smearing myself with blood that wasn't mine. I pressed my face into a man's chest that had been torn open, the warmth soaking into my mouth and nose until I gagged and forced myself to swallow it down. If I made a sound, I would die. Something moved nearby. I saw it only in pieces, a claw here, a jaw there, the way you notice a knife before the man holding it. The apostle bent down and lifted a body like it weighed nothing. Flesh tore, bones cracked. I bit down on my own tongue until I tasted copper just to keep from screaming. It fed slowly, casually, like it had all the time in the world. Voices echoed through the eclipse, not shouts, not orders, laughter, conversation. Apostles spoke to each other as they ate us, commenting on taste, on texture, on who had begged the most. One of them complained that the meat was getting cold. Above all of it, there were other voices, calm ones, distant. The God hand didn't shout. They didn't need to. Their words carried through bone and marrow, vibrating inside my skull like they were spoken directly into my brain. I didn't understand everything they said, but I understood enough. This was ordained. This was correct. I pressed myself flatter, my face buried against exposed muscle. Blood ran into my mouth and nose until breathing meant choking. I learned how to breathe without inhaling. Short, shallow pulls through clenched teeth. My chest burned. My vision narrowed. I thought I would pass out. I prayed for it. I don't know how long I stayed there. Time didn't move properly. Sometimes the screams were constant. Sometimes there were long stretches of chewing, ripping, and wet swallowing sounds. Once, something stepped on the body above me, and its weight drove broken ribs into my back. I felt one crack. I didn't react. I couldn't. At some point, the brand appeared on my neck. I didn't feel it carve itself into me. I felt it wake up. It burned through the corpse above me, through skin and muscle that wasn't mine. It pulsed like a heartbeat, and with every beat, the things around me shifted their attention. I felt it immediately, the way animals sense a predator's gaze. Something leaned down. I couldn't see it, but I knew it was there. I felt breath wash over the bodies, hot and foul. The brand burned harder, demanding recognition. Then, nothing. The presence withdrew. I didn't understand why at the time. I only understood later. They didn't smell me. They smelled death. I stayed there until the sounds changed again, until the laughter thinned, until the feeding grew frantic, desperate, as if the feast was ending sooner than expected. The voices above grew quieter, more distant. Then there was only silence, not peace. Silence like a battlefield after the crows have eaten their fill. I waited longer than my body begged me to. When I finally crawled out, my limbs shook so badly I could barely move. I slipped in blood that had gone sticky and dark. Everywhere I looked, there were pieces of people I had known. Heads without bodies, bodies without faces. The sky was normal again. That's the part that haunts me most. No fire, no darkness, just a normal sky hanging over something that should have ended the world. I walked until my legs gave out. I collapsed in a field and didn't wake up until morning. I thought it was over. I was wrong. The brand still burns. Not constantly, not loudly. Just enough to remind me. Apostles don't always come for me right away. Sometimes they circle, sometimes they whisper, sometimes they stand just out of sight and breathe like they're remembering something. They recognize me, not my face, my voice. I've heard it more than once, low, amused. That one sounds familiar. I don't scream anymore. I don't run unless I have to. I know now that surviving the eclipse didn't mean escaping it. It meant carrying it with me. Every night, when I close my eyes, I smell blood. I feel weight pressing down on my chest. I hear chewing close to my ear. Sometimes, when I wake up, I can still taste rot. I lived because I hid under the dead. Now the world treats me the same way. I exist, but only barely. And every time the brand burns, I know the truth. The eclipse never ends. It just lets some of us crawl away.